All large language models like GPT, which is the model that ChatGPT is based on, are driven by user prompts. In order to get the most out of ChatGPT, you'll need to understand prompts and the concept of completion. The central tenet behind completion is that you input some text as a prompt, and the model will generate a text completion that attempts to match whatever the context or pattern was that you gave it. For example, if you give the API the prompt, "I think, therefore," it will return the completion, "I am," with high probability. Now, the actual completion you see may differ because the API is non-deterministic by default, and that means that you might get a slightly different completion even every time you call it, even if your prompt remains the same. Now, the more sophisticated the prompt, the better the output. This simple text in and text out interface means that you can program the model by providing instructions or just a few examples of what you'd like it to do. This process is called prompt engineering, and it's the coding language behind GPT. Now, a good rule of thumb is to think about how you might write a word problem for a middle schooler to solve. A well-written prompt provides enough information so that the model will know what you want it to do and how it should respond. These models can do everything from generating original stories to performing complex text analysis, and because they can do so many things, you have to be explicit in describing what it is that you want. So here are just a few basic guidelines for creating prompts to help you as you're getting started with ChatGPT. So first, keep prompts clear and concise. You're going to want to make sure that the prompt clearly states the task or question that you want the language model to answer or generate text for. You'll want to avoid using overly complex language or providing too much background information. Let's take a look at a couple of examples. So an effective prompt might be, "What is the capital of France?" While an ineffective prompt might be, "I'm trying to remember the name of the city that serves the political hub in the country, da 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 da." Another example. An effective prompt might be, "What are the top 5 benefits of meditation?" An ineffective one might be, "I've been hearing a lot about the practice called meditation, and it's said to be good in mind and the body," and so on and so on. And finally, another example. An effective prompt may be, "Summarize the plot of the movie Inception," whereas an ineffective prompt might be, "I recently watched a movie called Inception, and it was mind-bending, da 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 da." Next, you're going to want to provide context. A prompt that includes relevant context or background information can help the language model generate a more accurate and relevant response. Let's take a look at a couple of examples. An effective prompt might be, "What are the benefits of meditation and how can it be used to improve mental health?" Include studies and statistics to support your answer. An ineffective prompt might be, "Meditation and mental health." Another example. Please summarize the main points of the article, the role of artificial intelligence in healthcare, and explain the potential implications for the future of medicine. Whereas an ineffective version of that might be, explain AI in healthcare. And finally, compare and contrast the economic policies of the United States and China, including specific examples of their effects on GDP growth. Whereas the alternative of what is up with the US and China economy might not be enough detail. So as you can see, effective prompts provide a clear task, relevant context, and background information, as well as special instructions. Ineffective prompts are vague, they lack context and instruction. Next, and probably one of the most important of the guidelines, is to describe. In this case, you're going to want to make it clear what you want, either through instructions, examples, or the combination of the two. For example, if you want the model to rank a list of items in alphabetical order, or to classify a paragraph by a sentiment, well then show it that's what you want. So for example, let's look at an effective prompt. Please generate an elaborate paragraph about a sunset on a beach, as opposed to, can you write something about a beautiful scene? Now here, the specific request of a paragraph gives guidance on the length of the response, and the use of the descriptive adjective elaborate implies that the paragraph is detailed and provides a thorough description of the subject. Now, other possible descriptive adjectives for a paragraph could include comprehensive, informative, evocative, engaging, concise, persuasive. It all depends on the nature of the paragraph that you want. Now, this is a prime example of how we can use grammar and even sentence structure concepts as a playbook for good prompt engineering. The best advice I can give is to reacquaint yourself with basic sentence structure and pragmatics, and this will allow you to excel at programming language models and potentially even lead to a career as a prompt engineer, which will no doubt be one of the largest growth careers in the very near future.